Dumelang Sanbonani, what the hell is going on? My name is Rapture and welcome to Camp Can with Campus Canvas, where we share the kind of info that helps you be a better you in what you do. And without further ado, today's topic, negotiating your first salary as a marketer. So we're going to talk about how to set yourself up to be sort of the best candidate, right, in the selection pool to make sure that you can highlight your abilities and your skill for the job so that you can walk out there with the job and with the best, salary package, because that's what we're about, right? I mean, we're trying to get that spread on, that guap, that money, cha-ching, knock off. But before that, let's test your wits with Campus Quiz. Campus Quiz is brought to you by Canvas Graphics, which is a media company basically that helps you with anything branding, from your logos to your business cards, websites, social media marketing, and all of that good stuff. Today's question of Campus Quiz is, how many birthdays does the average South African have? So, how many birthdays does the average South African have? Please write your answers in the comment section and make sure you hit that notification button, right, so that you can get notified when the next video comes out, because in the next video, that's where the answer is going to be revealed. So make sure that you do subscribe and like the video if it helped you, and share it with your friends. All right, and back to the task at hand, negotiating your first salary as a marketer. Now, this was actually quite a bit of an interesting one for me to try and report on, simply because I went in there with the frame of mind that I'm going to try and gather some common ground for best practices of how to negotiate for your salary, right? But now what I discovered is that basically, okay, let me put it in perspective. Of the 28 employers that I interviewed, 26 of them said that they never had to negotiate for a salary with an interviewee. And the other two said that it wasn't a salary negotiation, it was more of a relocation negotiation. So, whether or not they would, I guess the relocation might affect the kind of salary package that they get. Then, of 72 employees that I interviewed, none of them even tried to negotiate for a salary, which I kind of found pretty interesting, and I obviously had to ask, so my Mfethu, why when you don't negotiate for yourself and check, my man, what can we do for payment in terms of this job that I can do for you very well? And it turns out basically people don't negotiate for their salaries for the simple reason that it's so hard to get the damn interview, right? So it's you have to jump over hoops and all sorts, and you even go into autopilot, just sending out CVs everywhere. By the time the interview comes, it's just like, oh my God, yes, somebody finally responded, right? So most candidates don't negotiate simply because they feel like the negotiation itself could play a role in them not getting the job. You know what I mean? So what if the interview went really well and then you went into salary negotiations, and exactly those negotiations is what made sure that you no longer get the job and now somebody else got the job because they didn't negotiate for their salary or something, right? So that's basically how most people felt about negotiating for their salaries. So now, to get to the bottom of this, I had to try and create hypothetical situations to try and see then, if there are any similarities in what they then say for salary negotiations. Some of the similarities that I then found between HR managers and business owners when talking about some of these, what goes into basically employing somebody, one of them was a budget, right? So there's usually a budget that's in place when a company chooses to employ somebody, right? So maybe they'll say, let's get somebody who's gonna cost us maybe between 12 and 15,000 or 12 and 20,000 or whatever, all depending on the right boxes that they can give. So basically you also need to go into there trying to tick all of those boxes, or trying to show them that you tick all of these boxes, so that the more boxes you tick, the higher your salary might actually be. Also the job of the employer, or the person that actually does the employing, is to make sure that they find the best candidate, therefore, to bear a return on this investment, right? Because they're basically going to invest this much money into their company to make sure that a certain something can be done, which is the role you are trying to fill then as the employee. So you need to try and make sure that you can, show them that you are a great return on investment, with some of your track record and whatnot. You have to make sure that they know that you are worth top dollar. And if they can see that, they will make it a point to basically meet you halfway, at least, when it comes to your salary package, because you're that valuable, right? The second biggest thing that I found in common with everyone is that there's an authority issue, in the sense that usually when it comes to these things, there's usually somebody who's hired to hire people, right? So you're probably not being interviewed by the person who's actually writing the checks, which could be a good thing or a bad thing, all depending on how you go about handling the interaction, right? If let's say it's one of the managers or somebody then that is hired to hire people, what you need to try and make sure you do is make sure that person sees things from your perspective, like a human to human kind of perspective, like a employee to employee kind of thing, But if it's a business person, or if it's the owner himself actually, then you need to make sure that you put on your business hat and you talk sense. You talk business sense. You make sure that you're talking ROI. You know what I mean? Okay, so how to start negotiating for your salary? How do you do that? Well, the first thing, actually, once you secured the interview, your job at that point is to make sure that you can get the best employment package, right? And the only way you can actually get the best employment package is if you are the best employee in the selection pool. And the only way you can demonstrate that or show that is if you demonstrate a practical and working knowledge of your marketing role, right? And since you're going in there really for marketing, you need to make sure that you highlight and solve communication issues, right? Because that's what marketing is really about, communicating certain promotions or messages to a certain audience. So you want to try and make sure that you can highlight any and all communication gaps or issues that they have, and how you basically go about solving them. So obviously, the first thing you want to do after securing the interview is research the company. Research the company. You dig far, you dig deep for any trace of the company to make sure that you're putting yourself in the best position as possible. And if it is really hard to find the company, that's already a really great starting point for you as a marketer, right? Because you can already go into the interview highlighting ways of how they can better their online presence. You could also call in as like a consumer with the consumer mindset and just see how their entire process is. And see if you've got any ideas for how you could possibly better the process and create a better customer experience for them and their consumers as well. I'm sure if you tell them that you already called in and you've got ideas for how you can make the process better, I'm sure they'll want to hear what you have to say about that, and who knows, you might walk out there a marketing manager instead of just a sales assistant. And you also want to highlight some of the skills that you have in solving some of these issues, right? And you might want to also look into how much it is to outsource some of these skills that you already possess, just so you can make a comparison for them, or draw a comparison for them to show them that, well, this is how much it is to outsource the skill that I already have, and this is obviously how much you guys are trying to pay me. If we keep up outsourcing this, we're going to be paying this much. Even if you get a whole nother person to fill this role, we're going to be paying this much more. Than you could be paying me like 5K more than what you're trying to pay me now to do that entire role. So I'm saving you guys some money already, just with my mindset, just with coming in with how I can solve this particular issue with the skills that I have, over and above the role you guys are trying to employ me for. Make sure that they know your worth. Alright guys, so I hope you learned a lot, or learned something at least in the video, and holla back with a like if you did enjoy the video. Holla back with a share so that people can also get to see this video and get this knowledge. Holla back with a comment Let me know how I can possibly do things better. And yeah, just remember that you can, I can, we can with Camp Can.